Keith here for Am I Rich? And today let's get into it. It's Tesla versus iRobot. Yeah, that's right. A lot of people like to talk about Tesla and how they get really pumped up about how exciting they think Tesla is for the future. So I thought I'd compare it to a company that I also thought was something that is really changing the future and also shares maybe a similar kind of perspective. So I just wanted to go through a lot of the positives that people say about Tesla and kind of see what another company like iRobot would have in comparison. So first off the bat, when we talk about Tesla, a lot of people love that Tesla it's like an electric vehicle leader. They are at the forefront of electric vehicles. iRobot, what do they have? Well, they're probably the best recognized autonomous vacuum out there. Now, Tesla, what do other people like? They like low marketing costs compared to their rivals. iRobot, I think everybody thinks of Roomba as what the robot vacuum is. They don't really think about like Dyson's robot vacuum or Neato or something like that. They typically think of Roomba, so they have that brand power as well. Another thing that people like about Tesla, loyal customers. iRobot, well, I think people who love Roombas really love Roombas. Like if a Roomba really works for your situation, who doesn't love not having to vacuum their house? Now, another positive about Tesla, people say you don't have to haggle over prices like you would at a dealership for other cars. Well, what does iRobot do? I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, you go to the store, you look at the price, there's no haggling typically. Now, Tesla has been able to provide a very popular model of car, for how young of a car company it is. What does iRobot have? They probably have the most popular autonomous vacuum. If you look at another positive about Tesla, they're the first to have a real major charging network. Now, you could argue that gasoline chains are also kind of a powering network for gasoline cars, but for electric cars, they have the first major charging network, and this is a big plus to their company. I don't know, what does iRobot have? I mean, they had technology to actually get their Roomba to go park at the charging station. So kind of a good thing there. It wasn't really clear that people could do it before Roomba came along. So yeah, that's maybe a comparison. And then Tesla, they're huge into the battery manufacturing to keep battery prices low. iRobot, they've switched over to lithium batteries, so they have much more efficient battery usage in Roombas. They have dedicated engineers at Tesla. They really want to save the world at Tesla. And honestly, I think Roombas save a lot of time for people, so I think that they also have dedicated engineers. Now, there is a potential, some people estimate $15 trillion market for Tesla, considering electric cars, taxi service, ride share service, those kind of things with autonomous cars. Now, as far as iRobot goes, currently they have vacuum cleaners. There's like there's maybe 2 billion households in the world. So if you're looking at that, plus offices, plus other spaces, they might get into lawnmowers, and they might, who knows in the future, like pools, snow clearing, who knows what they do. So I could see that as they might have a $4 to $5 trillion market as well that they could tap into. Whether that's going to happen, I don't know, but definitely something to consider. Then the potential for the stock for Tesla, I think a lot of estimates are in 6 years they could, easily double their price or more. I think, if you look at iRobot in the last few months, they went up twice their share price. So another thing that's kind of interesting. Now, Tesla they might come up with a ride share or taxi service. So this is something that's very positive. Now I think they have a lot of competition. I mean, you're going to have Chrysler basically with Google doing a taxi service. I think they hope to have actually the first taxi service. You have maybe Uber, or at least the first major taxi service with autonomous driving, I should say. And then you have Uber as well. So I don't know if they have the big hold on that kind of service, but they might. And what does iRobot have? Well, I don't. They might have. They're just about to come out with some new products that really seem like they have big potential as well. And like I said, like what else is Tesla? People like Tesla's cars now, and they say like, well, wait until their SUV comes out, wait until the Tesla Semi comes out. Man, these things are going to be huge. Well, what about iRobot? They're mostly focusing on some pool cleaning robots and maybe gutter cleaning robots, a few military applications, and robot vacuum cleaners. But they are probably this year, they're probably going to come out with a lawnmower vacuum, or a lawnmower, autonomous lawnmower, I should say. So that is probably a big thing. And then from there, I don't know what else they're going to do. You know, like I said, like maybe snow clearing. Who knows what else they might apply. And then if you look at their past history, people like Tesla, like since 2010, their share price has gone up over 11 times. iRobot since 2009 has gone up 16 times its initial share price. So it's very interesting comparisons. I don't know what you guys think. As far as like the financials right now, Tesla doesn't have a PE ratio because they're not making any money, but not yet. But they do have forward PE of 46.1. iRobot currently 42 for a PE ratio, 42.4, and a forward PE ratio very similar, maybe 42, could be a little bit lower depending on the estimate. And the big difference would be the growth rate. And both of them, actually, their growth is slowing, but Tesla, this 5-year growth rate has been growing at about 42% per year, and iRobot has been growing about 22.4% per year. So these are very interesting companies. You know, when I look at investing in for these companies, I kind of think, one, I mean, do they have a really long, like if I'm looking for long-term bets on the future, both these companies are probably involved in that in some way. I don't know if they'll both survive long-term, but they're both in the thick of something that's probably going to trend in the future. And I also want to know, like, if they are in that trend, like how much do they actually contribute to those trends? So if you look at Tesla, its real goal in life, like when they developed Tesla, it was basically sustainable cars, like in the sense that they would not be producing greenhouse gases when they drove. So basically the dreamy idea of it is to fight climate change. And so whatever your thoughts are on climate change, you know, if greenhouse gases are contributing to climate change, then currently transportation might account for somewhere around like 28% of greenhouse gas emissions. So if you can, which is kind of similar to actually electric production, but that's, you know, that can change as well with the changes of power plants from coal to something else. But if you look at Tesla, they're pushing this technology ahead, which could really help. You know, if all transportation were to go electrified because of things like Tesla, I mean, I don't know if the car market is 100% transportation. We're also looking at trains and planes and boats and things like that. So, and some things, you know, like winterized vehicles, it's hard to imagine going to tuk-tuk in a electric powered vehicle until they, you know, build a lot more infrastructure or something like that. So I do, when it's, minus 40 anyways, but I do see potential, you know, even like 20% of the greenhouse gases in the world are basically lowered, their emissions are lowered because of electric cars. And Tesla, you know, they might even be, you know, say they're 20% of the car market, you could see them being like 4 to 6% of global reduction in greenhouse gases. So I definitely see that as a big positive. Now, whether greenhouse gas emission like climate change, that could happen over several hundred years before it affects like populations on the Earth dramatically. It's kind of hard to know. You know, in that time frame, you could have new technologies that can maintain climate a little bit better, or you could have people turn into robots. I mean, so many things could happen in that time frame that it's hard to know if that's really a huge threat. I mean, it's definitely a threat to the status quo, but so is just everyday change. So it's kind of hard to know how much this benefits, but I don't see it as a bad cause necessarily. And so if you believe in trying to fight climate change by reducing greenhouse gases, then yeah, I can see why people would want to invest in this company. Definitely, it's pushing the limits for all of the transportation industry to become more efficient and more sustainable and produce less greenhouse gases. So great from that perspective. Whether it'll actually be the top electric car, that's also hard to say. But I think on the flip side, like iRobot, what's their big kind of dreamy goal? Well, their goal is really to just make people's lives more efficient. And really, like I mentioned, if you have 2 billion households, and say, you know, how many what do the vacuums, if you replaced everybody's, or had everybody vacuum or clean their house with a Roomba, which is, you know, maybe not practical, but if you did this, like 2 billion households, let's just say, you know, depending on cleaning habits, just an average of cleaning once per week for half an hour, you're looking at saving like 50 billion hours per year of people's time. That's like 70,000 average lifespans, which per year. And then if they come out with lawnmowers, you know, you could argue that, like, say an average lawn takes half an hour to cut. If you were to say, like, how many average lawns would there be in the world? Like, there's people with a lot bigger yards and on acreages and you know, huge farms. And then you have like golf courses, parks. So there's so many that I'd probably estimate, like, maybe on an average type lawn, if you multiply that, all the grass in the world probably is like 1 billion lawns. And so again, this is not as impactful as the vacuum, but maybe like half as impactful. Like 1 billion lawns, you know, mowing it 50 times a year, you know, depending on where you are, for a half an hour, that's another like 25 billion hours. So you're looking at almost like 100, you know, more than 100,000 average lifespan saved every year from these products, which is amazing. Like 100,000 people every year doing something else completely, or, you know, their whole lifespans. Like, we just every year dumped an extra 100,000 people out there to do whatever. You could just see so much potential savings for humanity from that. So I really think this is also a very big and interesting company. So I know the hype typically is around Tesla, but iRobot also has done very well. So yeah, I would love to know, like, in the comments, which one do you guys think is better? Or do you think, I mean, they both have very nice goals, and I mean, are electric cars and batteries part of the future? Yes. Are autonomous vacuums and mowers likely part of the future? I would think so as well. But yeah, which one is better? I'd love to know if you know, your thoughts in the comments. Maybe we'll see who wins. Other than that, those are my thoughts. Thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe if you want, and we'll see you in the next video.